that the man did it. But the courts will not work with presumptions or even the eyewitness account. In such instances, medical evidence is very pivotal. In the absence of confession by the accused person, medical evidence becomes very pivotal. There must be that social awareness, that there must be that consciousness that if you suspect, even if you are not sure, if you suspect that A, B, C, D has happened, this is the X, Y, Z steps you have to take, at least to preserve evidence, because that's the only way you can get closure by the person who is suspected to have done that, getting the long arm of the law.
We've seen some laws in recent times to sort of like address this issue of, not just limited to it, but issues of sexual abuse of children. We've seen the VAP law, we've seen the Child Rights Act, and there's a worrying case of some states are yet to domesticate both laws. And this is having, you know, this is making it really tough to really prosecute such cases.
Well, I wouldn't know what you mean by saying it's tough, because the Child Rights Act, even the VAP, VAWP Act, legislations are laws made by the National Assembly, portion to their powers in the Constitution, and therefore they are enforceable in all parts of the country. Yes, domestication only brings an additional layer of consciousness as well as enforcement, because when you domesticate a law, it means the state or the municipal power has owned part of the law, and therefore they have an obligation and a responsibility to also educate the people on the workings of that law. Any act of the National Assembly is applicable to all the parts of Nigeria except the ones that are location specific, like the ones they make for the FCT or any state under emergency rule that they have to resort to Abuja for their laws to be made. But any other general law is to be enforced anywhere in Nigeria. But if a state domesticates it, like the Attorney General of Ebonyi State cannot enforce the Child Rights Act because he's only empowered to enforce the laws of the state. But if the state domesticates it, it means that the Nigerian police can investigate it, NAPTIP can investigate it. Also, the state government, using the apparatus of the state, the Attorney General of the state can also initiate criminal proceedings against a suspect under the law, in addition to NAPTIP and police.
A new bill is in the House of Representatives. Yes. It's almost at first reading stage, and that is the bill for like a sexual offenders register bill. Is there any need for a bill like this? Do we have provisions for this kind of bill in the VAP and in the Child Rights Act?
I think it's taking the fight against sexual offenders a little step forward. For me, if you ask me, I would say it's a legislative way of naming and shaming. Mm-hmm. Conviction may be a layer of punishment, but then when you now bear the stigma anywhere you go, you attract. Because if you change locations, there is a responsibility, there's a duty on you to report to the nearest office for the tracking, so that they will know that, oh, this bad man is here. I think we don't have such provisions in the other laws, even though there is a provision in VAP that a repeated offender will be tracked by the police wherever he goes, so that when he leaves a place, he has to report to the nearest police station. But this one around is almost like to have a register of criminals of a specific nature. Now, criminals of sexual offenders, it will go a long way. Why? Because in addition to putting the red flag where children are, in terms of whether if you go to seek employment where you could be exposed to children of a particular age bracket, so that the people who are going to hire you, it will now be discretionary. They will now know that you have this stigma with you, so that if they hire you, you've been warned. That's one side of it. Second side of it, even among adults, the fact that I am aware that there is a register of sexual offenders, nothing stops me from also consulting such a platform, such a resource material when I want to hire a man, even to work with me. Because probably if I want to hire you as a driver, official driver, I could know that sometimes you could come to the house to pick me, and probably I'm taking my bath and then my children will be out there playing. Therefore, you are a risk if you are a sexual offender. So it's an extension of naming and shaming them. And we are doing this for the primary purpose that children are part of the vulnerable groups in the society. They don't have power to take care of themselves, so to speak. So the state must provide all enabling platforms to make sure that all such incidences against children are reduced to the barest minimum.
Now, this is where we draw the curtains on this week's edition of The Gavel. If you have any views on any of the issues discussed, please email us on thegavel@channelstv.com. Thank you for staying with us and see you again next week.